and I'm just gonna put it out there. Um, Lou, my boy, uh,
Mhm.
what can you tell us about yourself?
So Louis, as far as the vast majority of the world knows, and as far as all of his friends and all of his enemies and all of his acquaintances know, is a street level kindred for the most part. Hasn't made that big of a name for himself, but for some reason, there are a lot of people that know him. He's always constantly tried to stay out of the spotlight, but he's always been close enough to it that you can see his face in the reflection. Louis is a nobody to some and a somebody to many. The determination of who sees him as what is where things get interesting. If you're high up on the apple tree, you won't be able to see him beneath the canopy. But if you're with him picking the apples, the number of favors he owes and the number of favors he is owed paint an interesting picture.
Okay.
That's my understanding of Lewis as a character. He's been around for a long time, but has never actively tried to shunt himself into any major situation. Always tried to keep from making waves while swimming.
No, not making waves. This is a very good way to survive the tsunami of storms that's been happening in the south suburbs. And speaking of storms, how were dishes, Muzan?
They are now clean, so we are all good on that front.
Nice. Did the pup help this time?
What's that?
Did the pup help this time?
Oh yeah, he helped by trying to steal the dish rag several times. It's his favorite chew toy all of a sudden.
Well, you did make it look mighty attractive the way that you were polishing that china.
Right now I hear my dad yelling at the dog because I think he might have stolen yet another thing. But earlier today he stole a cup of water while the water was still in it.
Oh.
And his favorite activity when he steals something is keep away, where he will try to keep it away from us.
Energetic little bastard.
Yes, he is.
All right. All right. So let me just copy this really quickly.
But yeah, needless to say, there was quite a mess to clean up after his little games.
All right. So, we've had a lovely recap via Lewis. We've had a situational update and a mental check-in from Rio as to where they were and the stakes that were involved with them for where they were. Would you like to add anything to our clarification of where we had last left the township?
Yes, please.
All right, fire away. Unless, of course, you're saying you're not asking to add to, but a brief catch up on your own part.
I thought you were saying that you were going to give a recap. I thought that's what you meant.
Oh, no worries. Let's see. Reader's Digest version. After several months, nearly a year of battling against the forces of Dutchbal Albu, the new Prince Regent of Thornton Township, and his efforts to unify not only Dalton, but all of the contiguous villages, towns, and those who are bold, vain, and proud enough to call themselves a city, being smaller than all of the other nearby municipalities, under one banner. And that banner is his. While initially he had always been saying that, had never said specifically that he was aiming to rejoin officially the tower, it was a thread of concern for a lot of people. It was a thread of concern for a lot of the princes, barons, senators, dons, and paeters that he forced under his banner, under his control, having forced them to bend the knee. The only holdout then was exactly Baron Ceferino, Baron Lalio, Senator White, and her cabinet. And the reason why Ceferino was able to not bend the knee was because he was in Riverdale. He protected the vast majority of Riverdale. So those few kindred who didn't hold power before Calabalarshi did away with them all flocked to his banner. And he insulated Baron Lalio. Senator White had the benefit of having a nuclear weapon sitting in her basement, sitting in the Piscateers Club, which was Calabalarshi. And they were able to hold their own and fight a war without any actual bloodshed between them and Detsabal. That all changed when Calabalarshi's efforts were, well, ramped up. There was destruction of his foci, Zach Volkir. There was a sundering of his connection to the now with this particular gateway, which is what the Piscateer was. And so to defend himself as the walls were closing in on his own war front, he had to go elsewhere, leaving them exposed. The straw before that, which nearly broke the camel's back, was the fact that Baron Ceferino bent the knee to Detsabal in an effort to be closer to and potentially help his child to escape Detsabal's clutches. Meaning the only threat that remained was Senator White and her cabinet. With the walls closing in, Senator White and her cabinet bent the knee to Detsabal Albu, solidifying his grasp and control over Thornton Township. There are a few minor nobody stragglers as far as he's concerned, and to prove their actual fealty, they brought in one of their longest reigning friends and allies, Urzuli, Queen Mother of the Bahari of Thornton Township, who was rebuilding a center of worship for the Bahari of the greater Chicagoland area. They, in essence, bought their continued civil liberty at the cost of her freedom. And so, with that hanging and weighing over our heads as to where we were, we will be picking up a few days after that took place. A few days after they deposited Urzuli into Detsabal's clutches. We'll be picking up a few nights after having given each of the members of the coterie the opportunity to come to grips with what they feel and how they feel about doing just that. They literally tossed her to the wolves. And while he stated specifically that he would not end her existence, he would not harm her, he would not, it rings in the ear. It has a note that is impossible to not hear. There's something else. There's something. The letter of the law is what it is, but there's also the spirit and soul of the law, and there's a very real impression that there's another shoe to drop. There's another something to happen. But all the same, with that sitting there for us, with that on our minds. Secondly, of note, I'd like to welcome Lewis to the group.
Hi.
He's done a small intro for us, giving us a understanding as to what has made Lewis tick. And as we embody in our play, new characters are not, in fact, new characters. They are formerly SPCs, formerly, that Mook in scene 3 that is stepping into the limelight of the attention of our explorations. So Lewis has always been in and around the Thornton Township area. all in the south suburbs. Never of any real note, never of any real importance, but still out there in the night. And as we dive in, a little bit past our hard start, are there what questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners would we like to round off?
You mentioned Zach Volkira being dead. Is this something that being destroyed? Is this something that Lewis is aware of, or is this hush hush knowledge?
No one is aware of it except for Muzan, Katarzyna, and Dia.
All right, bueno. Have there been any major changes in the Bahari in the past couple days since the disruption of their leadership? Have they made any like out of passion acts, or has it been the brewing storm?
There's a disquiet settling over the space. Everyone's holding their breath for what comes next. Up until now, the south suburbs past 79th Street in Chicago is quietly an open secret up for grabs as far as the rest of actual Chicagoans are concerned. As far as the rest of the kindred in the Chicagoland area are concerned, south of 79th Street is not really part of Chicago. It is no man's land. It is do what you will. It is the wild, wild west. And that was for a reason. Loden Peterson and now Prince Jackson understood having a buffer state between them and the rabble. You give everyone a reason or opportunity to brown bag their illegalities. We know you're drinking alcohol, but it's in a brown bag, so it's okay. Take that shit south. Take that shit as far west, and we're fine. Now, however, with Decibel becoming Prince Voivod Decibel Albu of the Thornton Township, officially being accepted into the tower, makes everyone nervous, because now from Tui down to 230th, all the way through the south suburbs that are contiguous with Chicago, it is now officially the tower. He upended the apple cart, and the apples are still floating in the air, which has everyone holding their breath for what happens now. Because a good portion of that space were baronies. A good portion of that space were fiefdoms and turf owned by dons and commissars, and you name it, it existed. People were able to carve out a block here, a mile here, a city or a village here and there, and now that is no more. Thornton Township officially being part of the tower sets everyone's teeth on edge, because how many of the traditions will be upheld? Everyone knows that Decibel was a threat because of his own personal forces, as well as her, his right-hand enforcer. Then he was able to bring the flagship Baron under his sway. So his forces and two clear-cut, strong enforcers that are virtually unparalleled when it comes to actually getting the blood going, to loosening limbs and otherwise damaging opponents. What happens now? The fox is not a fox. The fox is a wolf, and it is in the hen house. What happens now?
All right.
And then there is, of course, the fact that everyone is saying that Prince Jackson beheaded Urzuli at the behest of the Toreador Primogen, Annabelle, and the Toreador Harpy, Brett Stryker. It is rumors running wild that there was an execution in Elysium of the Queen Mother of the Bahari at the behest of the Prince of the Tower's capital city, using the same sword that he fought off the Lupines during the War of the Blood Red Moon.
Oh, fuck. So, wonderful.
And of course, unfortunately, because most of the South suburbs are barons, baronies, and what have you, they were not there at the ascension of Prince Albo, Prince Voivod Decibel. So the validity of that is anyone's guess. But Urzuli has not been seen any of these last 2 nights since turned over. And no one's heard from them.
Is it something floating around the grapevine? Who in particular delivered them?
Not yet.
Not yet.
There were witnesses there at the moment, most of them in various states of disrepair, but there were witnesses as to which kindred came through the door. Rumors are her and Seferino, but there were witnesses there. There were witnesses left there. So it hasn't made the rounds yet, but you know what they say. A lie can run around the world before the truth puts on its shoes in the morning, which means the only reason why it hasn't spread as far, as fast, is because whatever is being spread is, in fact, the truth.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Silence. Our lovely, beautiful silence, stating that we are reading out of the same book, if not the same page, chapter, and verse. And as is my pleasure, always, forever, and immortally, thank you all for being here. Play means a lot. I can't express how much I enjoy spending time with you all at this hobby of ours. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart to the top of my mind and all spaces in between, without any further delay, without any further doing until we don't, this is officially, without a shadow of a doubt, in the shadow of the White City. Tonight's episode is titled, Pleasure is Burning. With that brief recap, with that massive recap of everything that has happened, the very vibe, the very essence, the very aura and energies of Thornton Township is one unexhaled breath. The normal parties that the kind have, because unlike anywhere else in the world, Dalton is the entrepreneurial capital of the Midwest and potentially the entirety of the United States. Every person works. Every person works 1, 2, 3, and sometimes several more jobs. Everyone has an entrepreneurial enterprise that they are pursuing. Everyone understands that by applying the right amount of contiguous, unending capitalistic fervor, they can free themselves from the shackles of poverty, near poverty, and the middle class. They know that that's impossible. They know that it is a surety. And the other shoe to that is because of that unending, ever-present working, applying oneself, even working with residual income, that they play hard. They play for keeps. When there is a full-out block party, when there is a Labor Day, Memorial Day, Mother's Day, whatever celebration that there can be, it is done to the largest extent possible, and then 2 steps more. So it's the reason why places like the Pisketeers and the Rosie and the Harmony, and several other mid and large sized clubs and private venues are always turning over money. There is a circulation of funds that, well, to be perfectly honest, could purchase a mid-range country anywhere else. And yet, even with all the money that's circulating, Dalton is in fact a poor city. Dalton, for many, many years, was the equal and opposite to Gary. This was a town of trade. There were bricks built, there were furniture built, there are still very much ironworks, not the actual smelting of it, but the construction and fabrication of iron devices for plumbing, municipalities, and what have you, still being done here in Dalton. And everyone worked. So several uncles, aunts, cousins, and what have you work in these industries even now. And that same work ethic applies to the crime, applies to the vice, applies to whatever it takes to escape the full threats and icy fingers of poverty. So we pick up several nights after Azuli has been bartered. We pick up several nights after that Jabal has made it official. He has ascended and been accepted as an actual prince of the tower. There are a few days at best before archons, justicars, and other dignitaries pay visit to Dalton and Thornton Township to verify, to rubber stamp what has already taken place. It is another night in the Pisketeers, but the vibe is off. The room sounds are off because the kindred present are holding their breaths, even as they do their best to strike the correct moody ambiance, being purposely shrouded in just the right amount of shadow and feeding from just the right victim and donor, and the heirs are apparent. In the bankhead, we find Katarzyna, Dia, and Mohan. While Katarzyna has not had any real reason to support or even really consider Urzuli, the fact that a queen has died has unsightly tremors throughout the criminal community. Nature abhors a vacuum, and the vacuum being Urzuli as a provider of victimless crime, a provider for cash flow into various homeless shelters, various foundations, and various enterprises, made it easy for certain funds to be washed clean. There is an uproar building in the criminal community that Gina is in fact aware of.
Well, certainly there are a plethora of other ways is to launder the money.
There are. There, in fact, are. The many factors is humankind and kindred by extension always like the easy way. Always like the way that makes it feel as if they're getting away with something without having to exert any of that effort of actually getting away with it. There's a quiet storm of pissed off criminal captains and lower rung employees building.
For her part, she'll get a hold of whoever she's running with, her boys, and see if they can put some of their meager but disposable capital into buying up some car washes or pushing somebody out of an adult bookstore or somewhere to, start laundering some money for people.
Okay, would you be so kind as to roll your Manipulation and criminal contacts.
Manipulation and contact, she said. Oops. Under at 1.
Yes. And that's, of course, she, Katarzyna has gone monastic on us and is going to.
Definitely not.
Excuse me. All right. So into the maelstrom, into the vacuum, into the void of the uproar in Thornton Township and Dalton comes a gang of less than well-mannered bikers. The anarchy is too ordered for them normally, but this is a way to bring money into the club and also a good way to let off a little steam. Nothing like driving out rubes and setting down some roots. Not enough that you get locked into a space, especially one as cold and desolate as the Midwest, but any port in the storm, and well, that really doesn't apply when you are in fact the storm. And so throughout the area, small little places being muscled and squeezed into this chaos. Someone injected a fine thread of road rash colored chaos. Seems difficult to imagine, but the amazing amount of successes is just a few nights. It's something you'd write home to your mother about. And she'd appreciate it. Oh, Gina, very good for you. You are becoming a businesswoman. Always hope the best for you. At least that's what Gina imagined she might have said, or imagine what she would say if she knew anything about her mother. If she knew anything about the woman that birthed her into the world. She's sure that somewhere in her imagination that woman exists, perhaps with darker hair, a few gray streaks, having lived a long, happy life away from the cold desolation that was Gina's past. So again, we are in the Pisketeers, and these things are happening. Despite Decibel's power, there was a social status and strength that Dia had that helped maintain what you all have in the now. What are you all discussing?
Dia's going to look to the other two. I know you know that there have been whisperings and mutterings as to what happened to Azuli when she got taken to Chicago. There's only a matter of time before this possibly splashes back on us. And I say possibly with meaning more than likely will splash back on us. I'm sure there are people whose mouths have been running since that night telling exactly who they think did it. I have no guilt in having turned her over. She was a very good friend, but backstabbing is something I can't allow to happen to myself, basically. And we need to find out what Decibel has planned now, so that we are prepared to keep just ahead of him As for any more curveballs you might try to throw at us, I know we're all supposed to be friends and kumbaya and holding each other's hands now, but that man is very much still a danger to us should he decide, you know, I don't like you anymore, I'm going to squash you anyway.
Yeah, having a contingency is always good. But let's also consider the fact that we don't have the great and powerful sorcerer who is residing here to scare people off. We might want to consider beefing up security.
You still wish to retain my services?
Of course, you're an absolute delight to have.
She just nods
Yeah.
and smirks at that.
Smiles. Actually, yes, you've been quite the fit since you've gotten here. Almost a little scary how well you fit, but at the same time, it's welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace from unruly neonate and other people who keep getting cold feet. You know what you want. You get it done. You get shit done. I like you.
His has been on best behavior.
Well, they can like you. I don't like you. Mainly because they like you and I'm a little jealous. Says Dan as he enters through the door dressed as a janitor. You know, I kid. I'm just saying. I'm joking. I don't know you. Not really. I kind of know you, but I don't really know you. Can anyone know anyone when you really think about it?
Dan, now is not the time to get philosophical.
Well,
His BS do not be known.
BS bullshit. Everyone knows bullshit. That's not the problem. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Best, however you say.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd like to say that I've been on my best behavior, but that would be mostly a lie. I've been sneaking and snooping and doing things that is the reason why it ended up like this to begin with. But you know, old habits die. A death that a brave man never dies, and a coward dies 1,100 times over. You know the saying. So here's the thing. He gets up and moves to the mirror, the wall that separates you from the rest of the Pisketeers. I know we have some. And looks towards Dia. High class to me, he appears to you beautiful, powerful individuals out there partying, right? These social moneyed individuals. Hey, that's the congressman, and the like. And we try to keep the quality of the individual at certain standards. So I've always thought that it was better to beg forgiveness than permission. So I beg your apologies. I threw a little bit of pepper out there and all of that salt. And he points. Midway down the bar from where his finger is, there is a not poorly dressed, but clearly not wearing the same quality of labels as many of the moneyed loiterers who are partaking of the hospitality of the Biscuiteers. That gentleman there is Mr. Clark. I'd like to introduce him to you guys.
Yeah, And what makes him so special?
No spoilers. If you would indulge me, I think it would be best for you guys to go and get him and introduce yourselves and bring him back, or would you like me to go play step and fetch it?
Spoil me this. Is he one of us, or is he food?
There's a difference between the two.
I mean, half the time yes, half the time no. Is he human or is he dead?
Oh, he's dead. He's the sort of guy that would have been dead 100 times over if he wasn't already dead.
Gotcha. Great. Okay. Well, it's fine if he sees me then.
I don't know about that. You know, you're a little worse for wear than even I am. You got the bad end of the stick. I think it might be the age catching up to you, or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's why for meeting.
Hey, I'll have you know, I consider myself quite the looker for one of the sewer rats.
Fair enough. I heard that there's like beauty contests, like they do these things like the Toreador do, but for us, instead of it being a dog race, it's well, you know, instead of it being a dog fight, it's like a, I don't know, a horse race, depending on how well you hung. I've never got invited, but I hear Martin up in the city throws a hell of a shindig. It's pretty much all you can drink buffets and stuff like that.
I'd say we should try hosting one here, but it's only the two of us, so...
Well, see, and that doesn't and Gina, the for why you should meet him, I'm a nice guy, right? No, wouldn't it help to have more nice guys around here? Didn't you just mention security? Look at him. He's a champ. He can take a punch.
This whole time,
Test
while
theory.
this has been going on, Dia has already stood and gone to the door because they're just too ridiculous for her tonight. So she is headed out as they're sorting this out behind her and crossing the floor.
Muzan is about to follow, but then remembers, oh yeah, he's a Nosferatu. He should not be seen in public. Give him my best regards, Dia.
Oh, you know, you can invite him back. I'm just saying. I didn't want to be the one to go bum rush and bring him over, because, you know, that's a double dip on my chip, and we don't double dip. That's rude.
Yeah. Oh, Dan, while we have this brief moment, have you been able to look into the Homewood situation at all? Any changes?
Keep your horses on. Things are working. I guarantee you, things are working. I've been busy. What have you been doing? It's been 2 nights since you betrayed your best friend. What have you been doing?
Living it up. And also trying to figure out how exactly I'm gonna get in touch with the local Hekata, because as I recall, I owe them a drink. And I'd like to talk business with them.
Oh, that's easy. Just go by the church. I hear Felix is no, not Felix, View. Which one was the one without the mustache?
Blue? I get their names mixed up all the time. I don't remember which ones.
Well, the one without the mustache, they're dead.
Oh, shame.
So, you know, at least the one with the mustache. But I don't know which one was which, and I don't want to call them the wrong thing. It's like misnaming someone, while not as bad as misothering someone else, but it's close, you know? It's not, anyway. Any points? And, Gina, are you heading out with Dia to intercept Mr. Clark, or are you waiting? You are the muscle. You are the security.
She will probably go and watch Dia's back. And be generally intimidating.
Muzan will just wave to Gina as she leaves. Toodles.
All right, so we need 2 roles from you, Mr. Clark. First and foremost is the efforts that you were laboring under as per your previous agreement. That comes down to your charisma, your subterfuge, and your contacts. Your DC, of course, was 4.
Okay. Let's see if this works for me. Am I allowed to willpower this?
Yes.
Still a margin of 1.
All right. So here's the funny thing.
Oh, just a moment. Side hustler doesn't come into this, does it?
No.
Okay.
You may, in fact, take this loss as your second roll and roll again, or succeed at cost on your next roll.
We'll succeed at a cost. It's always fun to put the blood on there.
All right. So you have alerted authorities throughout the entirety of Cook County. There are protocols slamming into place that have not been utilized since the late 80s. You have set several interagency investigatory boards on their ear, and everyone is scrambling. Your face is connected with several intra-governmental acts of either embezzlement or espionage. No one knows for sure, but there's a lot of hoopla happening during the daylight hours after your successful accumulation of the schematics and maps in the briefcase at your feet.
You know, this is one of those be careful what you wish for scenarios, isn't it?
But you have them.
I'm all for it. Let's fucking go.
So as Dia and Gina close on Mr. Clark at the bar, Mr. Clark, would you be so kind as to describe how you're dressed at this moment and the lovely briefcase at your feet, the attaché case?
So, dressed in, let's say, tan slacks, dress pants, and a very, very caramel light brown jacket. It looks as if it's seen some time. It was well made at one point, but it's definitely been worn, in many senses of the word. I would say, like the picture there, doesn't wear a tie, has several buttons on his shirt, not necessarily all the way up to the neck, not in the Fabio displaying of the chest, but in a, I like to breathe. It kind of gives off the impression of, I would say, the father figure who doesn't necessarily belong here, but is dressed, at least to what he considers well, to chaperone a child. And as it applies to the briefcase, it is a smaller, more compact silver briefcase, but it looks sturdy, very sturdy. Like you could probably run over this with a semi, and the semi would lose. As to whether or not that could actually work, no one knows. I suppose you could always give it a test. And it's kept very close to the bar, between his right leg and the bar, as he's turned to his left talking to somebody. And it's very clear from your vantage point that he is pressing it up against the edge of the bar with his foot, as if attempting to keep it from squirming away.
I was looking for where you posted the picture. I don't see it, so I'll come back to that. But
Here. Boom. I will put it in the play voice channel. This is effectively what you see here. A very much former era style of dress.
well, I mean, Dia's got pieces from the 30s, so it's fine. She walks up to him, pauses for a moment, and then offers the very, how people do the very tip of their handshake thing.
All right.
Mr. Clark.
Kind of as you approach, he's just speaking to another younger male individual on the other side, between like the opposite side where you approach from. Just, no, man. If I were you, I wouldn't invest in that. Oh, hi. Yeah, a pleasure. Who? Dia? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
He takes the hand and very, very gently gives a small peck upon the back of the hand, as is standard. A pleasure to meet you. I've been looking forward to this for a good while now. I assume Dan got with you?
Talk to me, darling, talk. We like to keep things in context around here, seeing as how she motions behind her at the various states of dress there are that could be taken wrong. Not that Dan isn't a lovely person, but anyhow, yes, he mentioned you, and that is why I'm over here. And if you would like to talk in somewhere that's a little less busy, we have a personal space that we could take you. The others are still there.
Absolutely wonderful. I've been actually looking forward to getting us somewhere a bit more quiet, as it were. Is he here now, or has he scooted off somewhere? I have something I need to...
Dan, you mean?
Pardon?
I'm assuming you mean Dan? You're
no.
asking about Dan.
Yes, Dan.
Yes. Well, he comes and goes as he pleases, but I left him there, so he should still be there, yes.
All right. Well, lead the way. Hopefully he hasn't skedaddled. He's the type I've learned that if you take your eyes off of him, you won't see him again for a week.
And as we were, they're saying that, because I don't know his name yet. So, Dia is going to scan the crowd real quick and try to locate the girls, because she hasn't seen them yet tonight, and she wants to make sure that they are still behaving after that 2 nights of getting things together.
There are such things known as miracles. They happen infrequently in modern times. They're the things that people talk about as impossibilities. But they clearly exist because Faye and Stella are holding court with several rough-hued individuals dressed in various leathers, blue jeans. There's a patch of a tiger or some large cat on one's leather vest, and several other patches. You're not sure. It looks like the pin craze from the late 50s that came back during the 80s, during the whole Jackson era victory tour thing, or the Cabbage Patch Kids. Were they Garbage Patch Kids or were they Garbage Pail Kids? You forget which. But either way, they come back during that time period, and it looks like that to you. They look rough and tumble, like rough and tumble gentlemen, but the patches and the memorabilia all over the leathers. And what's that? Why are they, several of them having that 1% sign on their leather vest? It just kitschy garbage to you. But they're actually holding court. They're actually embodying what it means to be a host or a hostess in these situations. And it is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. It's like watching your kid ride their bike down one of the steepest inclines that you have ever seen, and you know there's nothing you can do because you can't get there fast enough if there's a floor, and staying to watch it means that your blood pressure will probably cause you to be the one that actually is seriously hurt.
So yeah, she kind of takes that in and has a moment of slight pride, but at the same time, oh, this could go so badly. And they turn with almost military precision and head back the way they came, just keeping an eye on the crowd as they do.
Is this slight moment of apprehension something that I'm able to pick up on?
Good question, Dia. Is it something that she consciously tried to hide for the moment, or is it just and move on? Was she trying to put on airs and seem
It's more that
So yes.
the and then move on.
So yes, it's not something that's being faltered or obfuscated or using subterfuge. It is a flickering of dread, panic, and all of those many other emotions.
Okay. Just follows her sight line to wherever her focus is caught and registers the situation as the information is available unto him, and then follows along. And is everything okay? I hope I haven't caused any trouble here. You seem to be a bit flustered.
No, darling, it's more family issue. Those two are of my line, and
Oh,
that one, and she points to Stella, is mine, and that one is hers. It's a long, ridiculous story, but needless to say, I have two near newborns in my space, and this is their first time getting to play hostess, as it were, and my patrons have come to expect a higher quality of things. So it's a bit nervousness on my part that they are running things. But it does help me not having to be in multiple places at one time, mind you. So I'm trying my best not to panic.
oh, don't worry about it. From the looks of it, you've selected some very qualified candidates. They seem to have everything in hand. So, I suppose, at the very least, if things get to the point where you have some extra time at your hands, you can come by and see how they're doing again. But from the looks of things, they got it all handled.
Yes, and that scares me even more how quickly they picked it up. It took several people I know years to be that charming, but
Well,
they haven't.
I believe it reflects well on their tutor.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Are these guys bikers or just posers?
Oh no, they are 100% bikers. In fact, the largest bearded individual, not the 5 o'clock shadow, not the slightly well coiffed beard, is a gentleman you know that ran with Bob years ago during all of the fighting from the spill over with the lupines to all of the would-be camp followers for the wolf pack. This gentleman was one of those that could have easily pledged up and joined the wolf pack, but instead went his own way and stuck close to Inyanga during that period.
I'm sure at some point during the evening, Gina has exchanged head nods with several of them. The other question is, has Gina yet had to step up and put one of these girls in their place over the last 2 days?
Over the last 2 days? No. They, as a parent, when the house goes quiet because the kids have temporarily learned their lesson. It makes you worry because they've temporarily learned their lesson. And like all things temporary, it will need to be refreshed and the boundaries firmed up for the next onslaught. So while they've skated, they've also had time to plot, plan, and adapt.
Fair enough. Well, I will bring up the rear of this little 3-person parade and give the come on, let's go sort of head tilt to Muzan as we head that direction.
The back wall of the actual Pisketeers is a mirrored, reflective, seemingly going on forever space. It makes the small, intimate, quiet, dark spaces of the Pisketeers seem all the more magical because it reflects the light, reflects the image, gives the idea that the light is coming from places where it is not. In other words, it adds to the magic of the illusion that this is a place that is beyond reality. As you move towards that walled space, it is clear as you get closer and closer that you won't be heading up the stairs into the sports bar area where most of the locals understand is the Pisketeers. You won't be heading down one of those dark tunnels through those catacomb spaces with the private suites. You're heading toward the mirror. It's like something out of a fantasy. It feels and looks as if you're walking into yourself as you get closer and closer. And there's a few hidden steps to the left of where you all are that lead up into the side, into that door. There is an actual mirrored door that closes flushly with the mirrored wall on that side of the door. Not on that side of that mirrored wall. The question is, inside, does Muzan open the door, or does he, wait for them to come through to properly surprise their guests? Muzan, did we lose you?
I think I might have cut out for about a minute or two there. What was the last thing that you said?
Is Muzan waiting to open the door, or does he let them come through on their own?
He'd let them come through on their own.
So several things happen at once, as they always do. As you all open the door, does anyone brace Lewis for meeting Muzan unmasked?
I guess it would be Dia's Bailiwick. Before she puts her hand at the opening to the door and turns to look at Lewis. Before we step in, there are others behind the door, and two of them are, but I guess some would call sewer rats, so they are not the most beautiful to look at, but they are very much our friends, and I would like them to be shown respect if that's possible.
a kind of like a few degree raising of the eyebrow at the mention of others behind the door. But as you mentioned, sewer rats and giving the proper amount of respect, his face settles back into a smile. It seems to be presented as very much this is a business smile. There's not that much enthusiasm behind it because, well, as we all know, not many people can be enthusiastic to meet and greet with Nosferatu. But he presents the smile. Of course. I mean, it'd be mighty rude of me if I lose my lunch just because I'm seeing somebody. I'll be on my best behavior as always.
She nods. Much appreciated, yes. And then pushes the door so that it pops open. Because I'm assuming it's kind of like one of those old school record cabinets with the magnets, and you push.
Yes. And as the door swings, inside is Dan dressed as a janitor and Muzan. Would you be so kind?
Muzan looks like a Nosferatu straight out of a nightmare. He looks almost like a gargoyle, but without the wings. He has stony, dark gray skin. His limbs are elongated more so than you would expect, almost like an orangutan, but they're very solid. He's very solidly built. His face and head are hairless, and he has yellow eyes that do not look at all friendly. His nose is pushed in like a bat, and his fangs are always protruding because he's basically unable to fully close his mouth because of how long his fangs are. So it's not exactly the most pleasant sight. And he looks like if he were motivated enough, he could probably run down someone in the blink of an eye.
Okay. There is certainly a very palpable moment of hesitation in the boundary of the door as he gets a look at what has been revealed, that kind of tracing of your features that is noticeable on somebody who is almost astonished for a half moment before he catches himself, and very, very quickly, in a, I would say, almost embarrassed fashion, walks forward and presents a hand. Pleasure to meet you. I presume you're Muzan?
You presume correctly, and Muzan will shake his hand. Delighted to make your acquaintance, Mr. Clark, was it?
Yes, Lewis Norman Clark. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard so much and yet so little. I'm sure that there is a grand deal going on behind the scenes here, but at the very least, being able to scratch at the surface has been quite a thrill.
Yes, I'm sure it has been. And also, Muzan is still shaking his hand.
Yeah, as this is going on, it very much seems as if he's still going with the handshake because there's this timid nature to the handshake, as if he feels trying to pull away might give you that not looking at the tiger moment. You know, the moment that you turn your back on the tiger is when it leaps upon you, that type of scenario. So as he's talking, he just keeps shaking the hand, just speaking away. So, Are you? You know? Looks around.
So,
Does he spot Dan?
Yep. Lounge.
Okay.
This is a janitor.
as he's
Hmm?
as he's looking around, after hearing his name, Dia gets a very strange look on her face and kind of head tilts as she's thinking about that. Like, playing with her hair, looking down at her skin. Lewis and Clark.
Yeah. Yes. How may I help you?
Is the reminder, Father.
I'm sorry. I don't think you're catching the fact that your parents must have had a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, no. A sense of humor is one of the few things that got him through the workday. And after noticing that Dan is here in the room, that's that kind of very quick, I now have a reason to walk away from Muzan, and I am using it. Hey, Dan, actually, I got that thing you were asking for. He breaks the handshake and kind of sidesteps away. He's keeping you in the corner of his eye.
Actually, slow down, champ. There's a way that we presentation is everything. These guys, I was telling you, I may have mentioned, like, they're real, almost heavy duty. Like, Muzan is, of course, now that we're officially part of the tower, he's the primogen of the Nosferatu of Thorn Township. And Dia, if she does the right thing and kills off her competition, she'd be the primogen of the Toreador of Thornton Township. And Gina is their murder monkey.
Oh, I apologize. I don't mean any disrespect. This thing here, he lifts up the suitcase. It's mighty heavy. I'll set it here and you can take it as you please. He turns back to Muzan and Dia and now Kat. It's good news, wonderful news. I mean, I'm sure you guys are all excited about it. Getting a title and the powers and responsibilities that comes with that can always be exciting.
Well, they gotta kiss a little ass first. That's a ball ain't no lightweight, and he's only gotten stronger. And well, the Prince of Lansing. Remember that big cowboy that looks like Larry Hagman, crossed with NFL linebacker on steroids that are steroids of steroids. Well, yeah, I went snooping through his junk to make sure that he was one of the Viva la Revolution. And well, no, she'd already paid him a visit weeks ago when no one was paying attention. So from the border to the border, Decibel has every baron in his pocket.
Oh, well, the mortar is laid, the bricks are set in place. I suppose he's just gotta hope that nothing happens until it dries and hardens, and then he'll have himself a mighty strong wall, won't he?
Yeah. And therein lies the problem.
I take it from your phrasing that our primogen here and prospective primogen aren't necessarily interested in letting the mortar settle.
Oh no, they're happy with just getting by to get by, but I have watched 1, 2, 3, 4. This is number 6. Purges. Resettling. Of our home. You've watched, let's see, the 50s, the 60s. So you've watched 3. You know what happens when the power settles in and they make it obvious. They need to make an example, not just for external powers. But they need to make an example for internal powers. Bending the knee is easy enough. Everybody does squats in this day and age. But can't make an example out of Baron Seferino. That might piss her off. Can't make an example out of her because one, why would you? She's loyal and might piss off Seferino. Can't make an example of any other barons because at least they, have a fundamental philosophical similarity. But the last hired is always the first what?
And he just kind of, as this analogy is going on, his eyes slowly drift towards the pair of Muzan and Dia. First to go.
Yeah, so I like these guys. Like that's my that's my president. I mean, my primogenitor, my president, my boss. And he lets me do the things that I like to do when I like to do them, and I kind of like them. Me and Dia got this thing going on. That's will they or won't they? Kind of like moonlighting.
They've already gone on a date.
Yeah. It's just a little bit of time. I'm wearing her down. Slowly. With her permission, of course.
Okay, Steve Urkel. Please. I get where you're going. I understand how this looks, and that is what I wanted to discuss this evening. But first, she looks to me on. There are an awful lot of bikers outside. Do you know them? Or, Gina, do you know them?
Is a problem?
No, I don't think they're a problem, but at the same time, I don't know biker culture well enough to know whether they are posers or actual bikers. And actual bikers of a certain sort could cause problems, but I'm willing to give everybody a chance, obviously.
Is a real deal.
Stay until you cause trouble.
Is a real deal. They're not a big problem. It's not mine, but I command certain amount of respect.
Oh. It moves on. Oh. Well, then if they are indeed true bikers, perhaps having a small word with them, not to anger them, but enough to let them know that they cannot behave untoward in my place of business would be wonderful if that could be managed. Thank you.
If was intention, would be doing already.
You have a point.
See? What did I tell you? The murder monkey.
Well, seems she's good for much more beyond just murder monkeying. Pleasure seeing you again.
Just a matter of time. And he points towards those two lookers back there, those little kids. Because that's what, it just came about a couple of nights ago. Those kids, those are Dia's grandkid and kid. Nagini was going to kill him. Take them right out. Off with their heads.
I believe I'm intimately familiar with that position. Also, they're both only a few nights old?
Yeah, I thought you knew.
No.
It's part of that long, weird story that I was telling you exists. That is very much a part of that.
Well,
I mean, we could make it a very short story.
There are implications in what Muzan just said that, like, Lewis picks up on, and he's not sure if that's what was meant, but there's that, like, two powers way beyond you potentially may clash in the next few seconds kind of stiffness to him that happens as he registers that sentence.
Does Muzan pick up on this?
Are you attempting to hide it?
No, this is very much... It seems like he's purposefully attempting to translate. He's not hiding it. He's making it very well known that made him uncomfortable.
Muzan looks him over and then just starts patting him on the back. Lighten up a little. Don't worry. We're all friends here. Nothing bad's gonna happen. And he gives him a toothy smile.
So many squeamish.
Yeah, we're all friends here. I'm not squeamish. I walk in a very interesting circle, I suppose you should say. Regardless, they seem to be doing fine despite their interesting origins. So, all's well that ends well, yeah?
Yeah, you'd be your best behavior too if the murder monkey said you're next, and your mom literally said, I ain't gonna stop her. You'd be on your best behavior, at least until you found a way to kill your mom and the murder monkey.
Is not mind if they get passed around, club.
Wait, what? She looks around like,
Is flirt with bikers is what happened.
There's a bead of sweat. Of pink tinged sweat that kind of finds its way traveling from his hairline down his brow. I'm just not gonna touch that. So, what are your I know we've heard Dan's stance, so what are your eminence's thoughts on, the current situation? If you wouldn't mind me asking.
You already asked. What if they mind? You've already stepped over the boundary. Can't.
Oh, yes, but forgiveness before permission, you know?
Yeah, but you didn't ask for forgiveness. You asked for permission after you already did it.
And in such a way, I've asked for forgiveness while asking for permission.
That's not the way that works. It's not like like Catholicism. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. And you go do 25 Hail Marys and Our Fathers. No, you're talking to your fucking primogen. You're talking to them all wrong. Come on, you can kiss
right.
Better than that.
It's like start sentence with I don't want to offend you, but
Come on.
My apologies. I didn't mean to step outside of my line. We were just being so casual here, and I suppose I let it get to my head. I'll
Look at this guy. Oh my God. Come on, relax. If they wanted to kill you, the murder monkey would have already done it. You wouldn't even know what happened. You'd wake up dead.
That's reassuring. Thank you, Dan. You bring me to all the best places.
Hey, you have something very important to, and he points directly towards Muzan. That guy and the plans for making these 3 power players better. Muzan, you gonna let him load a plan, or do I have to keep that quiet?
Oh, you mean the unleashing the army plan?
At this point, they're probably more like the Navy, but yeah, waterlogged army, soaked to the bones, hungry as all get out. At your behest and control, provided you can, master the hive master. Because there's always 1 or 2 of them that, don't really go fully into torpor and is able to take control of the others through time and effort. You know what it's like when we all in a war together. Imagine that times 100 because you have nothing else to do to mentally communicate. Blinking eyes, occasionally scratching out something with your finger that don't move. You know, you get it, you get it.
All right, I'm
Yeah.
gonna need some context here.
Okay, before I discuss the plan, Dan, just want to make sure he's cool, right? You're okay with him hearing the plan?
If he's not cool, and he points to Katarzyna.
Hey, I'm cool. I am cool. I am ice cold.
All right, so here's the long and short of it. There is about 20 to 30 Nosferatu that are currently staked and sealed in a block of cement somewhere in the Homewood area. And we, pointing to himself and Dan, are gonna let him loose. Because, number one, it kind of sucks being the primogen of two Nosferatu, one of which is myself.
It's
Number
like
two,
coin.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
It's like flip a coin.
It's like flip of coin. Yeah.
Yes. You know, at some point I gotta explain to you how we decided who among us would be the primogen, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, we're gonna let him loose. We're gonna rein him in, and suddenly we're gonna have our own little private army of Nosferatu running around.
So are we intending are you intending a controlled burn here, or utter chaos and see what settles?
Oh, controlled for sure. I do not intend to let them leave until at least one of them is blood bonded, and then the others are blood bonded to that one.
Okay. All right.
Taking some notes from the Tremere in this regard, because let's be honest here. 30 some odd kindred who've been staked for decades are probably very hungry. And probably not the best to just let them all loose all at once. That would probably be the world's biggest masquerade breach. Entire town sucked dry overnight. That would be that.
Yeah, there is that. But, and he picks up the attache case. I happen to know that there is one face we can potentially put the blame on if it comes to that.
Oh?
Oh, come on, Dan. We're friends. You wouldn't do that.
I never do that without a very damn good reason. You're a good resource. And like I said, I'll keep my end of the bargain. In fact, as a matter of fact, and he points to the fact that he's dressed like a janitor. Part of what I was doing tonight after checking on old boy over there in Lansing. But we'll talk about that later. The one without the one without the mustache, they're dead. You don't have an in with them. But the good thing is they're dead. Not dead like us. They're dead. And so there's a way for you to get your tenterhooks into that commodity. But we'll talk in detail later. But for right now, just remember, I have what you need. And I like this relationship as it is. I would never jeopardize it unless, of course, I absolutely had to. So don't make him have to. He points to Muzan. Because, I got to follow what my leaders say, right?
Yes.
Hey, look, suffice to say, I'm already on the wagon. I'm happy to ride it to its destination. I'm not exactly that enthused with what's going on, so if I can get you guys what you need, and if I can help you get to wherever it is you're trying to go, and make sure that I don't end up underneath the wagon wheel, that's perfect.
See, I knew you weren't as dumb as people say you were.
People say I'm dumb?
Wait, I said that out loud. No one says you're
Be honest with him.
No one knows what you say. No one knows what side of the coin your bread's buttered on. not so much dumb, but you know, they think that you're younger than you are. They think you know too much about things you shouldn't know. And well, I hate to say it, but they're right. Decibel's people are right. They working to push anyone not firmly into lips puckered to his brown puckered exit on the out socially. And you, just like these guys, didn't really pucker up and get right up in there between the cheeks, lip to lip and tongue to, well, you know, brown eye.
No.
It ain't too late if you want to go pucker. I do know a couple of guys.
No. We don't even. No, I don't need that mental image. Suffice to say, if people think that I know too much, then working with you all and helping you all get to whatever power level you're attempting to achieve is beneficial for me. So long as you don't decide that I know too much.
I don't think you know anything. Do you?
No, not at all.
See? See, he's one of us. Dumb as the night is long.
You're gonna fit right in.
Yay.
Every day.
Just when exactly are you intending on popping the cork?
As soon as we figure out the exact location and a safe path there.
Ah,
You know, nothing like stepping on unfriendly fellow kindred's domain, especially now that we're officially Camarilla. It's we could get caught for what's that law? Hospitality.
Wait, hold on. Is Homewood part of that? Because, well, I mean, Decibel would probably say it's part of his domain, but realistically, there's a lot of Sabbat in that area. I don't think they would agree with his claim.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. This guy, Herod, is running the old fight club out of there.
Come again?
Yeah, some guy Herod, out from out east, is setting up shop there. There's a kindred only fight club.
Herod.
Yeah, however you spell Herod, like from the Bible.
Oh, fuck.
friend of yours.
You could call it that.
Obstacle.
More than likely.
Okay, all right. We can, I guess, shelve that till we need to handle it. So you all need to handle it, or I. Depends on what you guys want to do.
You just need to go have words.
If we have words, it's probably going to end up in one or more people dead.
Yeah.
Just my little thought here. If speaking to him's gonna end up in deaths, then and you can't leave him be out there. Are you in the mood to handle it before it becomes an issue, or do you want to leave it alone?
You see, the thing is, I don't know if I can kill him. So, for now, avoidance would be best. Especially if his boss is nearby.
Nah,
Hey.
you got this. I got every faith in you. You could take him. And if you can't take him, let us know after you take the first hit so we have time to run.
And his boss is my sire.
Ah, well, you can't take that. Though, you know, it's funny. You say you can't take your sire, but I have nothing but stories about these kids waking up and taking their sire. Now, if these kids can do it, I'm sure you can do it.
Who's these kids?
And he looks towards Faye and Selath on the floor. Kindred like that, fresh off the vein, saying that they killed their sire. They took their sire out, or their eldest sibling out. Anything can happen, mind you. I am fully aware of that. However, I'm just saying that they can do it in droves. You can do it at least once, right?
And who says it's got to be a fair fight?
Yeah. Lewis here is definitely all in.
He's best swat the bug when there's one bug.
Yeah, I'm as far in as you have decided that I am in, since I don't believe I necessarily have a. The car is going 90 miles down the road. If I jump off now, I'm paced.
That is an excellent analogy.
Glad you agree with it.
Paste.
So how much of an obstacle to your plans do you believe this Herod will be?
If he finds out I'm there, a pretty big obstacle. But
Okay.
if we can avoid him entirely, that would be ideal.
Okay. And how likely do you think it is that he'll find out you're there?
That depends on how much he cares if I'm alive or not.
Have you wronged him in the recent history?
No, he runs a fight club. You can go in, cause some trouble, kick some names, take some ass. You got this.
This seems useful. This place for stupid bravado kindred to kill each other.
Yeah. And you're good at killing bravado. Look what you did with the Tremere former senator.
Yeah, I remember. That was fun.
See, you got this. I got every faith in you. If Dia's got any faith in you, Dia, you got any faith in my primogen?
I'm listening to Muzan. Muzan says he does not wish to stir the hornet's nest at this particular time with this particular person. Granted, should they desire to set the nest on fire, I will definitely back that play, but at the same time, I think that Muzan knows this person much better than we do and knows what their limits are at the moment. Granted, again, Muzan, you have help, should you wish it. On a different note, she's been glancing out the mirrored window this whole time, watching what's going on outside, to see if the girls are in any sort of distress before she acts.
No, they're not. The worst thing, and here's the thing, that as long as you have a wits plus either performance or persuasion at 3 or higher, they either know these bikers or are winning them over very fucking quickly.
See, what did I say? Naturals.
You scared for babies?
Actually, no. Scare for me. These two are fucking crafty, and we've seen that they are fucking crafty. And if what I'm getting from them, just in watching them interact, is they're wrapping these bikers around their finger. And as you said, that they are well and truly real bikers. Can you imagine what would happen if one of them batted their little eyelashes at one of the leaders and said, I love hanging out with you, but my mother or sire, or whatever word they decide to use, will never allow it. And the next thing I know, I wake up with a fucking stake in my chest.
This could still put down. Could go right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna weigh in there. That is entirely up to you as their sire. I mean, once you figure out what exactly you want to do, I'm all for helping.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but while Dia is until contested or goes for the actual title of being the Primogen, she is the senator of, of Dalton. So you can help by being part of a cabinet and making a decision on telling her what you would do in her situation. Like me, they're kids. Kids will be kids. If they don't try you 1 or 2 times, how are they going to be strong enough or stupid enough to try their friends and make sure they have people like me to give them advice to keep from being stupid?
Okay. When it comes to rebelliousness like this, especially in children, there are a few ways that you can handle this. You can either put down the problem by nipping it in the bud, like what was suggested by your
Murder.
guard there, murder monkey. Or if you want to go the less stabby route,
You say anything about stabbing? Have you seen this woman in action? She can cut you with a look. She doesn't even have to stab you.
okay.
As a side, next person who refers to me in the room as murder monkey will eat a proverbial banana.
You could show them how foolish it is to think that they can work against you. Normally by turning their own plan against them.
And Primogen Muzan, what would you suggest to our lovely, beautiful, enticing Primogen Senator Dia, who's not a murder monkey? We will never call anyone else in this room a murder monkey because I don't want to suck on a banana. Do you want to suck a banana? I don't want to suck a banana.
I was never a fan of bananas. But back to the question at hand. If they aren't causing any trouble, I think it's fine. But if you are uncomfortable with it, then that's really what matters. You are their sire. And, well, you're responsible for them. So, if you're worried they're gonna cause trouble, reel them in before it happens.
Yes, because with all due respect, leaving the wick so close to the match is not necessarily a good idea. Just because it isn't the fuse is not lit yet does not mean it will not be.
Bear the rod, yes.
Spoil the child. Yes, exactly.
I don't think that rod is the same thing that everyone was thinking about.
Perhaps we are not the best to ask. Seems like we are all in favor of beating the shit out of them.
Ooh, physical violence was not where I was going. I get where your head is at. There are a few stratagems based around making your enemy do what you want them to because you make it look as if it's the most beneficial thing to them.
Yeah, but they're not enemies. They're just stupid, fresh tongue.
Dan, everyone that's not you is your enemy in one shape or form.
Nah, I got nothing but friends. It's how I survive. I keep nothing but friends. And people that are not my friends don't even know I exist. So therefore, I got nothing but friends. These guys, however, they will kick ass and take names and kick names and take asses. They're just monsters. Like real monsters. Like I mean it. Like they're the boogeymen.
Not like sweet old lovable me.
Yeah, trust me, I've been getting the impression that Boogeyman is very close to what I've been surrounded by for the past 15, 20 minutes now. You have helped very much in getting that understanding. Thank you, Dan.
Well, I try to be helpful. Speaking of being helpful, he looks to see if there's a code on the attaché case.
Oh, 1914.
Ah, see? Now you're catching it. You're being helpful too. You see this, Muzan? Very, very helpful.
Very.
So, unlike what you were planning, we don't have to kill him anytime soon.
There's that moment of like swapping his look between Muzan and Dan back and forth, like you were fucking planning on killing me? Before he settles back in. Oh god, it's just Dan, never mind.
Point now where you'll take metal briefcase and give duffel bag full of cocaine.
No. But, as he pops it open and he looks through, rifles through the maps and schematics, I could use you to help prepare what we are actually trading to Lewis. Let me show you and get your esteemed impression on before I relay the information, if you think it's viable. In other words, my friend Gina and my primogen senator, I guess, still moves on. There's a couple of things I need to do so that we can pay for this, so that you all can have your army of walking, talking, shit kicking ass. I don't know. What's the best metaphor? Ass taking or ass kicking? I already did say shit kicking.
Why not inverting?
Taking shit? No, that means you're.
No, ass inverting. What?
Stomp. Ass stomping.
Yes, ass stomping members of Muzan's soon to be retinue. So we gotta go double check this, make sure that it's viable so that Lewis can be paid in fair trade without it being too dangerous for him. I don't mind him losing a couple of fingers, but he's really a nice guy. He shouldn't be losing like his heart or his head. You know what I mean?
I would very much prefer to keep all of my fingers, but yeah. I don't want to lose my heart or my head either, so if I've got to choose between the two, fuck it, fingers it is.
That was me asking for permission. I could just ask Mozan, but I'd like us all to be on a similar page with how we're going to operate, especially in front of the new guy.
Well, I appreciate your attempt to behave as we are some sort of well-oiled machine that has a hierarchy. We all know that's bullshit, Dan. Everybody does as they please, and I just attempt to hold it all together. So, do what you think is correct. Share the maps. I have been telling you since the start, since I got to know Muzan and had him working with us, that I would love for the Nosferatu to be freed.
Hey, he told you about that?
Hello. I'm not stupid.
Move on. You
Yes,
can't keep
I
it
have
secret.
known
This
for
could be
a
an
while.
open secret, not an open secret.
You forget how high up in the government I was, even before I was officially that thing that you said. I'm so tired of being a child. But, yes, I was in proximity enough to know what was done to Nosferatu, and seeing as how I had no say in how things went down.
Wait, so you're telling me that you were a silent top in proximity to power? You were top in power. No one but me found that funny. A top in power? TIP? You were just given the tip? Oh my god. Some of the best material just goes right over my head. It's just, thank you, Thea. So, Muzan, you okay with her holding on to this, yeah? And he walks over and hands you the attaché case. Hold on to this in your safe upstairs. We gotta go double check this, and we will be right back. Well, soon. As soon as we can.
Yeah, I'll go put this away now.
Yeah, take good care of that. You have no idea the amount of silly bullshit I had to go through in order to get it.
It's much appreciated.
Hey, I don't need you to appreciate it. I just need the payment for it.
And we're gonna go secure that and make sure that you don't lose. And, it sucks losing, especially when you can avoid it. So we cool your jets. I got you. Plus, he reaches into his upper pocket where normally there's a notepad and a pen, and pulls out a little cop's notebook. This you will probably want to pay double for, but I'm gonna give it to you now. I say you pay only what you feel comfortable doing. And he puts the notepad out towards you.
Alright. Takes it with a kind of... Alright, you've never stood me wrong before, so let's see what you got here.
And as him and Muzan leave, you open the notebook. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Detective Bob Grayson. Schedule for the next 2 weeks. And you know that 2 weeks is usually one tour, which means you'll probably be stuck on that for at least 4 to 5 tours. Hours of expected responsibilities outlining from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. for the next 2 weeks, definitively, and potentially for the next until the actual rotation of shifts. DPD, Dalton Police Department.
As he's kind of scanning over it, there is a very clear nearing the expression of sadistic grin that plays over his face before he quiets the emotion and tucks it away in his own jacket pocket. I think this is going to be the beginning of a very fruitful relationship. So then, since they are off doing their own thing, is there anything that I suppose you two would like to address?
Before we continue, I just need to say I have to get going now because I have an early start tomorrow. So good night, everyone.
Good night.
And that's a great moment. Part of the reason for creating the opportunity for Dan and Muzan to step away was that. So we will see you next time. And it is 22 after the hour. Let's be back here at 32 after the hour.
Alrighty.
All right, folks. It is 32 after. Everybody back?
I am at the very least.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent.
Dia, dost thou exist? Ruh-roh. So, how's it going, Nobu?
Not bad, not bad. I've got the Miro bug and Lucio. I am Muzan's bare bones works really, really well for expediting things. I like it. I am a fan.
Hmm.
I am a fan. I am very, very happy with it. I have gotten most of the coteries almost done. I'm up to working on the Brewers coterie. The Brewers coterie of Primitive. But yeah, so I'm happy with it. It was a great look on his part, and he deserves all the credit in the world for being able to make it simple and not my garbled, swirling mass of stream of consciousness. So yeah, nice and easy, relatively.
Okay. Well, Dia is here. She said her tongue ring has slipped out.
Yes. Well, there's an elephant in the room, and for most people, it's usually something large and unavoidably obvious. But the elephant in this particular room isn't large, nor is it obvious. But it is something that those with experience in the fomenting of crime and social skullduggery would be easy, would have an easy time in diagnosing. And Dia hit the nail on the head. There is something afoot. There's a split, a fork in the road. Either the girls, Faye and Stella, have had the opportunity of making the acquaintance of one percenters sometime in their life, their living days, which up until a few days ago was one and the self same thing as to where they are now. Or they are socializing with intent. Now, the question of which is it completely beyond the pale of any apparent knowledge from a distance. From a distance, they are both one and the same thing. What, if anything, are you all attempting or going to do in regards to that? Because Gina knows that they are, in fact, 100% true, dyed in the wolves of the road. They are, in fact, one percenters. They all each have killed in the name of their club, in the name of their battle vest, in the name of their cut. And those who actually wear the pin proudly and have it patched onto their battle vest have killed simply at the behest of the club president, simply at the behest of the man at arms, simply at the behest of someone saying this is what's needed, we'll do it. No remorse, no second chances, off with their head, off with their resistance. And the question that you all need to ask and find an answer to. How are they able to comport themselves with such individuals with such aplomb? How are they able to seemingly enlist the good morale and spirit of these individuals when, as far as you all are aware, Faye and Stella are college students enrolled in electronic courses. They attend college online. And then therein lies what you all have laid out in front of you. You, of course, don't have to act on anything. But, and closed mouths don't get fed.
Well, Miss Thea, do you want to handle this now, or do you want to handle this later? Because if you want me to go down there and separate the two of them so you can figure out what exactly you want to do about this later, I can. I am good at diffusing these types of scenarios. But I'm not gonna step into the raising of your children unless you specifically ask me to.
The problem therein lies in separating them. They were raised almost as sisters, so any attempts to keep them apart from each other causes problems. But perhaps, maybe, some time apart would be good for them.
There is that avenue. I meant more in the way of cutting their communications with the biker gang that they seem to be getting very familiar with. Or are already very familiar with.
That's what I want to know. Are they familiar recently, or did they know them beforehand? Because if they knew them beforehand and then invited them here, that's one thing. If they're just charming and winning them over, that's a whole different thing. And we can be nipped in the bud then.
I can
So if you would
go down and figure that out for you.
yes, gather information would be lovely.
All right. Then I'll be off. The specifics as to what I am going to be attempting to do with Lewis here is get close enough to hear what's going on in the conversation, listen to the way that they're interacting, the words that they use, the body language, eye contact, so on and so forth, and see if this is kind of the way about these girls are communicating. Is it the style of schmoozing and ass kissing that one would do if they're purposefully trying to get someone on their good side? Is it the kind of lax familiarity that you get with somebody that you've interacted with in the past? Or is it somewhere in the middle? The kind of a general understanding of their interaction. And listening into the specifics of the conversation.
Okay. We're going to need two roles from you. First and foremost is going to be your charisma and stealth. Can you blend with the crowd well enough to get close enough to the conversation without being part of the conversation?
Oh, well, this is just delicious. Silence of Death wouldn't help me here. Neither would any other obfuscate talent. And if anything, my clan bane would make this a lot harder for me, so we're just gonna have to rouse the blood if that's perfectly fine.
Always tempt the beast, my friend. Always. trust in it. It will lead you never wrong.
Ah, and it hasn't led me wrong here. Let's go. What is my difficulty for this going to be? High as possible?
Yes.
Alrighty. We are going to willpower because I'm getting fucking tired of this. There it is. Oh, stealth unfortunately is not my specialty.
That is fine. That is fine. You're sneaking up on two neonates, excitable and taking in everything around them, and a beggar gang in the middle of a secret, what most people think is just a fetish club. What could go wrong?
A lot of things that I can think of. But yeah, no, what could go wrong? That would be 2 successes in total, and my hopes and dreams are going out the window. Look at it fly.
Gina will follow him from a bit of a distance with an amused look on her face.
Would you be so kind to go ahead and roll your charisma plus stealth? You would receive a benefit of 1 because you're keeping a distance from him. So you need a 4 or better.
That's the most... Oh, shit. No. That's vile. It seems 2 is just our day. 2 is our mutually combined experience here.
Well, you know, two's a crowd, right?
Indeed.
So as you all head off to draw close enough to overhear without being intrusive, allow them their space. To allow them to continue doing what they're doing, because the sad truth of the matter is that everyone who is honestly being watched or being monitored changes their behavior, oftentimes without them ever realizing what they are actually doing. You don't want them to change their behavior. You want to catch them in the act of whatever it is that they are in fact doing. And they're like,
Okay.
problem. Speaking of problems, while you send Lewis and Gina off, what is Dia up to, if anything?
Dia did not forget that Silk is still very much in the area running a club. There are still other roses in the garden, and everybody keeps pointing out the fact that she either needs to make a move to become the primogen, or at least make sure that she has a good social standing in this. She also wants to know what the other roses know about what happened with Rosuli. So while they are doing that, she's keeping an eye on everything that's going on, but she's going to call Silk.
You know that's not an option. You know that's not an option. The number you have for Silk is to her club in Gary. Salacious.
Well, I mean,
So you're gonna
she could call them and have... Oh, God. Actually, Dia never had a problem with Tywin. It's one of my other characters that had a problem with Tywin. No, it's making it unappealing to do so. plenty to do otherwise. Um, Actually, I have no clue what I would have Dia doing right now. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look at my um sheet here. With all that's been discussed this evening, she obviously knows there's some things that need to be done. Is there any way I could get like insight for her into what would be a strong next step politically or leadership wise?
No need for an honest roll. Despite all of his purposeful being considered a buffoon and of no consideration, there is a strangely there's a strangely insightful aspect to Dan when he does act, as if it's something that he's had to do before, or as if it's something that he was experienced at. He goes out of his way to never have to, but when he does offer insights, it is factual. It is typically the best logical step. And therein lies the problem. Because the best logical step is securing your position, your place as a primogen. The best logical step is to make sure that the goodwill and status that you have received thus far from your lineage and your actions as the learned, close, personal friend of Geneva, as well as the most likely heir to the throne, is in fact secure. You had Silk and Erzuli moving into the area, two notable members of the clan who had achieved heights of success, all closing in, which, now that you think about it, now that you look back over it, was a clear sign as to where Decibel was heading. Two accepted tower roses moving into this small podunk town of Dalton, the center of Thornton Township. Didn't make any sense. Now it very much does. Someone had the heads up and understanding or the foresight or the of expectation as to what was actually afoot. And they were already making moves to get into the best positions possible.
You can take a minute to kind of contemplate on that. If she continues as she currently is, the next logical step would be to get rid of Silk somehow, so that she is like the only highest level Toreador in the area. But then that's a tall task to take on, especially with her own club being kind of under new management and shake up. Anyway, it's probably something that she couldn't put effort into at the moment. Granted, Dan was right in the fact that they have to act quick. So she's thinking about that. And also thinking about the fact of what she would really do if the girls were turning on her. Can she try to either send them home, back to Chicago, because they really want to see the other's brother? So she's just kind of, where am I sitting with all of this right now? And then after a couple of minutes of contemplation, she gets up and leaves the banquette, shutting it behind her, and heads to look for that one girl that Calabalar she left behind, helping her run the place. Because she wants to see how everybody's settling in. And get kind of a State of the Union sort of situation.
Okay. So, while Lewis and Gina head from the watchtower, basically, and move out into the club, Dia also follows them out and heads towards finding Calabalarchi's left behind matron. That's basically what she is. She is a master of attending to guest needs. She clearly has experience in handling most people, and she has managed to do it in a way that is homespun. It feels authentic, like she cares, maybe not about you specifically, but how you fit. While Dia makes her way through the club, finding her. Fate is an unkind mistress. She loves you, love bombs you, and then pulls the rug out from beneath you, oftentimes simply to watch you flail before she catches you striking against the ground. Fate, just like God, laughs every time man plans, and man being short, the nickname for mankind. There was a plan afoot. There was a understanding as to what you all were preparing to do. Your experience of years would see you safe, would see you through, and keep you from being and Stella, in all of her dark-haired, dark-eyed glory, her pale, nearly translucent skin, a holdover from her biological father and mother, looks directly at Gina, then to Lewis, then to Faye, and she smirks. It is the most ridiculously open and welcoming gesture you have seen from her ever, Gina. That smirk, that devilish, teasing smirk. And then she laughs. And she rests her hand against Faye's knee and her thigh. And she laughs. And Faye, following along with the feeling of the laugh, laughs. And then Stella stands up. I'll be right back. And she walks as if she's going to walk directly towards Lewis. And just as she's close enough to reach out a hand and pull him into a conversation, she veers to the left, well, her left of him, heading directly to Gina. You don't have to be a stranger. Come on over. They already said they know you. Who was Rob, by the way?
Is not important.
To him, they were. Because if not for our old friends here seeing us, they were going to put it to the Prince of Thornton Township. Luckily, we've invited them to more than a few parties.
And seeing us out here in this podunk piece of shit suburb was enough to at least give them pause. So come over, answer for them who the hell Rob is. Hey, here she comes, guys. Tell me it's not this jackass. And she, as you all are walking towards the biker, she slips her arm into Lewis's elbow. No need to ear hustle. You guys come over, take part of the fun. These guys are actually stand-up people, unlike some of us. Who are you, by the way?
Clark, pleasure.
Your name's Clark. That's a dumb name. This isn't National Lampoons. You got a nickname?
You can call me Louie.
Louie. It's a lot more fun. All right, guys. Here's Gina you guys were asking about, and this is Louie. Faye frowns. We don't know a Louie. It's fine. He was in the back room with Dia, so clearly he's one of us. Or food. Either way, I'm okay with.
Not food, thanks.
Right.
And,
Gina?
Everyone is food or the other thing.
So, we just rumbled through Indianapolis. Fucking snakes to the hilt. They said Rob got cut loose and sent this way. And he ain't been heard from in months.
It's still sword there.
Still what?
The sword.
No. Fucking snakes. The fucking ministry. They're taking over the fucking place.
I don't know which is worse.
Oh, definitely fucking snakes. Because while they were kicking ass and taking names against the goddamn Putinesca and Giovanni, they somehow brought them into the ministry. The ministry is the ministry, the fucking Roses, and the goddamn Giovanni and Putinesca working hand in hand. Squeezing every fucking penny from every goddamn shadow.
Their checks do not bounce.
No, and that's the problem. You know, fuckers are going where the easy money is. Louis, why does that sound familiar?
Familiar to quite a few people.
Yeah, your face is.
Yeah? Where from?
I'm trying to put a finger on it. You ever work at the depot over in Gary?
Maybe a few years back.
That's it. You're one of the fucking Miller folks, part of the fucking C&T, right?
C&T. Nobu, what the fuck is the C&T?
Castiglione and Tories.
Yeah. Relatively. Think of me as a kind of freelancer.
Oh, so you're untrustworthy.
No.
You should be. All of us are.
Well, true enough. So, what brings you guys through this part? You said you dealt with all the snakes. Is that on your way, or was that your original objective?
Nah, blood brother, Rob, stand-up guy. Got suckered into, being muscle down that way.
Gotcha.
He supposedly got free of the debt, no more boons owed, and he was supposed to come back and help out a mutual friend of ours, little gospel singing angel. And everyone says that he fell on dead times up this way. If that's true, we were gonna, fuck the town up one time for good old time's sake. But we happened to meet Stell and Faye. They throw the best parties up in Chicago. I'm surprised to see them this far south. They're saying that they're things have changed for them.
You could say that.
Yeah, I just did. What did you hear about Rob?
What did I hear about Rob? I say out of character.
That he's non-existent. And that he had a child.
I hear that there is no more Rob, but he passed on his seed, as it were.
Really? Where's his pup? Did he make it through a winter yet?
If I know, I will share the information.
We needed one quick aside. Dia, did you relay that information to Gina, who Rob's childer was?
Oh, as far as I remember, Dia never got asked about Rob in the first place. Whenever that kind of topic came up, it was very much, let's not talk about that right now, so she wouldn't know about Kat looking for Rob. So therefore, she wouldn't have really volunteered that information about Frost and Rob. Now, she has nothing to hide, so if she would have been asked directly, oh, hey, have you heard of Rob, or have you seen this person, she would have given the whole story, but as far as I know, she was never asked, so she wouldn't say anything.
Decisions. Questions and would Gina have actually followed up on it?
If that was something that was on her agenda, she would have, yeah. She can be pretty single-minded in those cases. Of course, if she knows it's Frost and that Frost is dead, she probably wouldn't have brought up that he has a child because, oh yeah, well, we just killed him.
Mm-hmm.
But did you kill
That's
him?
why I was giggling.
Sorry about that.
So maybe she would. It is Gina.
Oh yes, Rob had child. We killed child.
I only say as a fuck you.
Lamau. Alright, so what does Kat say?
She wouldn't have brought up the child. She'd just say that he was dead. Rob, that is. No point in bringing up. He had a child, which is erroneous information because he is also dead.
Well, it's not really erroneous. It's pertinent of some sort. Yeah, we killed this child. It's okay.
Is Frost dead? Is that did he end up dead or?
The even better part of that would be to offer them a drink.
It is a very good host-like thing to do.
Yeah. Let's have a toast to Rob.
And his dead child that we killed.
Yes, and are now drinking.
So
No, she wouldn't bring up. Knowing that they just killed the child, she wouldn't bring him up.
well, they recycled
Okay.
the child. They recycled the parts.
Oh God.
So you got that going for you. Plus, you can offer them a drink.
Of Rob's child.
You can make them at peace by giving them a piece.
You know what? I might accept that that's some sort of weird outlaw biker gangrel thing. So I will offer them a drink of Rob's child.
Do you explain that it's Rob's child? Oh, if you're looking for Rob's child, here he is. He's in nice vintage.
He's got good with scone.
Oh yeah. So, does Cat offer and explain?
Rob is half child. He's very sad. Child also dead. Have him bottled if you would like to sample.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
There is no person that can make what they say slurries.
Are you fucking kidding me? The prince had one of our brothers killed, and his child.
No. They did. Well, I don't know. Do I know who killed Rob?
No.
No. I do not know who killed Rob. Child get itself killed.
No, we heard it was the fucking prince. We heard it was the would-be dragon emperor of the south suburbs.
Would I have any more information on that, or could I potentially have heard it through my contacts?
That Decibel had pulled strings to make sure that all the powers that were no longer existed to clear the path for him. That sounds about right.
I mean,
Rob,
according to what I'm aware of, yeah, that's about how it went down.
was Rob the gangrel that spoke up and got annihilated at the party there?
No, Rob was the Gango that died protecting Dia during her ascension, and Frost died with him because Frost was very much alive at the time.
Well, then I probably would know who killed Rob then, because I think I was there for that.
Wait, hold on 1 second, because I remember what happened was Frost ran off to get some air, and then him and Rob ran into each other and then got shot at, and that was what put them both into the morgue. So
No, Frost went to secure the perimeter. Rob went to help them after having defended your person from the bikers inside of the meeting, the trial, basically. When they went to secure the perimeter, the second attack happened. Because it was a two-pronged attack that they were paid for.
Actually, I wouldn't. No, actually, Kat wouldn't know because when she showed up, everybody was frenzying in the basement. She offered to stomp Frost's head in because he was freaking out, so she didn't know who he was at the time. So,
Alrighty. Yeah, no. As far as I'm aware, it had something to do with the prince during his consolidation of power.
he's probably check out. Many kindred died the last few nights.
And many more will continue to die.
Well, if this fucking jackass thinks that we're just gonna roll over and take this shit, we didn't take this shit in Indianapolis. We didn't take this shit in Milwaukee. We didn't take this shit in fucking New Orleans. We're not taking that shit here. No one fucks with us. Even a distant brother like Rob. Stand-up guy though he wasn't patched in. But all the same, he's still one of us. He's still a fucking gangrel. Gina, you're with us on this, right? We can go kick this jackass's head in. We hear he's got some whoop-de-doo muscle chick with him. A turncoat and betrayer. You know where they stay?
I might have idea.
Excellent. Lead the way.
Faye, Stella, always a pleasure. Hopefully you can reconnect with whoever your dealer was. We need some more of that good dank. You, Louie, they say you're okay in our book. Keep your nose clean.
Always and forever.
Who's the lady of the house? I heard that she's, oh, don't worry about her. We'll give her your thanks. Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Stella. Gina, let's go. You brought your hog or you riding a cage?
He's out the back.
Good. I parked on the side, but I'm sure there's another way up and around. And as they break off, a clear inclination as to what they have every attempt of doing. Speaking of chaotic moments, dear, you find the matron at the upstairs bar. A few hushed, hurried words to the bartender there, and she turns around just as you're coming into view. Oh, Miss White, how we doing? And she steps from behind the bar.
Mostly just checking on things and seeing the state of how it's all going. I know you're quite professional and know well what you're doing, but I just paranoid normally. I think that's what it's called, paranoid. So I was coming to see the state of things.
No, that's understandable, I suppose. Tony wasn't all that clear, except for that we had to get out of the way because there was some meeting that Morgan was having at the Lamplighter that's going to change the fate of whoever and whatever. And you know, he's always been weird, but he's always been trustworthy. So we took him up on his offer, and here we are. Because if he's not going to be there, and if Morgan is not going to be there, there is no fucking way that I am going to ever serve Guibault's bastards.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite familiar with the political landscape of Louisiana, as it were. But I understand some of what you're saying.
Well, Guibault is like up here. Y'all got that Pritzker, the governor. Guibault is like that for us down there. He's like the governor of Kindred and those who are associated with Kindred. We initially worked with Tony only, but Morgan picked up everything that Tony had, and you know, God bless her. But we can't keep bouncing around like that. You know what I mean? We need a good household, and I figured the only way for us to gain your trust, even with Tony's recommendations, was to show you what we could do. He says that everything's everything, but you know him, always seeing things that ain't necessarily there. And by that time, you could have had other intentions for us. So I've been finding ways to optimize the efficiency of your establishment so that you can maximize your money. Now, some of it is just good old-fashioned business sense, and some of it is understanding the difference between being what you are and what we are, your needs and our needs. And while I know it is always difficult to share, especially when your girls are so very, very loyal, I'm not exactly sure how to say this now. Yeah, I do. Ain't no way to do it but to do it. We need you to be more forthcoming with your very real Vitek. We can dance around this for at least another 2, maybe 3 weeks, and we should still be fine. But why be fine when we can be better? We are all drinkers, if you know what I mean. All of us were and had the opportunity to sip and sup from Tony and then from Morgan, because it doesn't look like it, but I am 63 years old in July. Your head doorman is 94 in October. The 4 young ladies running your bar downstairs and keeping your donors in line are 72, 83, 94, and 110 years old. We have been passed down through the family, initially through the Chantry, then through the Roses, and here we are. We have enough reserves for another couple of weeks, but with Tony being points due north, having gone up to either Chicago or Milwaukee, we need. And I would much rather secure it from one singular source so that we can all remain the family that we have become.
She raises her brow for a minute, thinking about what exactly this means, and then it kind of clicks into place. Oh, I get what you mean. Sorry, still settling into this whole leadership thing. Having to provide blood is newer. But can be done, yes. That is not a problem. How much do you need for how long? Do you need it? Or how long does it last? Take it.
Well, we typically go rotational. We would prefer once or twice a week, but sometimes some of you all are not able to properly provide for feedings as often as that. But a minimum of once every 2.5 to 3 weeks. More if there's not anything extraordinary asked of us. If there are extraordinary situations, then perhaps we would need a bit more. But we are very good at managing our reserves and keeping our strengths available for your uses.
Okay. Don't worry about that any further. I will do my absolute best to keep things going as they were, as I would like this to be as smooth of a transition as possible. You said you had 2 to 3 more weeks of stock, so we will move through that, and at the end of that 2 weeks, we will transition. Is that a good plan?
Normally, yes. However, I can't stress this enough. The sooner, the better. That's the reason why I'm bringing it to you now. Our reserves, our stocks, it would mean that there is no out for you, madam.
Okay, that makes more sense, I guess.
If that's
Well, I'm not doing anything at the moment.
I completely understand, and we can. This would be our last night.
No, it's understandable. I get where you're coming from, and I would, again, like to make sure that your transition here is smoother. I am not doing anything particular currently. Perhaps I can manage for 2 of you, I think. And then we will work in chain the next eve, as it were.
I see. So, we are in fact doing this. We are in fact moving into a relationship of continued service towards one another.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying, guys.
Excellent.
I have come to depend on you in this small amount of time. Yes.
Excellent. Well, in that case, I believe that I can let you know. Some of the passageways between here and the establishment across the reservoir have been discovered and have been being worked on to be excavated. The staff of the business across the reservoir, with them utilizing the same checks, I take it that this is part of the same enterprise. Is there any other business that is connected with this one that we might better monitor it, as they've had in the last 2 nights 5 bar fights?
I imagine this is for my. Oh, see, this is this talking about the businesses or the laundering sites that Kat just recently set up?
No, this is pertaining to the Rosie, which is across the reservoir behind the Pisketeers.
Oh,
There are catacombs between the two which had been caved in earlier, months earlier.
nice.
Those tunnels have been being excavated, and with them having gone around the reservoir, driving to the Rosie, and they found out that the staff, in fact, was being paid from a similar account because there was a merger of the two businesses. 3 businesses, actually. So the question remains, Dia, realizing how much she has wrapped her arms around the business just in uncovering and excavating this much, is there anything that Dia would relate to her in this moment?
Is there another business that's connected in the catacombs, or is it just the two?
The two connect to the catacomb, but the Rosie is part of the Rosie 2.
Okay, so she would. Well, actually, there is another location that is the Rosie 2, which was originally the Rosie 1. It's weird, but anyway, that is not connected to the building physically, but it is the same company, which I guess now find myself in charge of, seeing as how the owner is no more.
Yes. Well, ma'am, there is one other thing. The gentleman, Larry, says that the packages in your office were the total sum of the rendering. I'm not a fool. I understand that there are many things that are beyond my knowledge. But if I'm not mistaken, most beer does not smell of you all. Most wine does not smell of you all. And most whiskey, or to be more accurate, the rice wine variety of aged whiskey does not smell of you all. But each of those bottles and cases smells of you all. I have not tried any of that, but is so that I am aware of all of the services that we provide. Is that special brew part of what we provide to the public, or at least to the special guests downstairs?
Actually, those bottles are very private stock, and it should only be one of I or Luzon or even Catchers, who asks for those bottles, as they are the only ones that know they exist, save you and the other staff members. If we are sharing it with our company, then that's one thing, but other than that, they don't exist to the general public, as it were.
That I can understand. I will make sure that I don't offer such a thing. Incidentally, even. And then she takes a step back, giving a small incline. She opens her palm and motions towards your office. It is, in fact, time. If there is going to be rubber on meeting road, there's no time like the present.
Nodding. As we step in here, I don't know where Louis currently is downstairs. If you would send somebody to check on them, please, and we can get this started, sir.
Who considers what you're attempting to say?
Nope.
Would never dream. I would never dream of prying, Miss Madam White. But if someone needs to be babysat inside of the premises, should we not have them inside the premises? Scarcity and elitism only adds to the reputation. Would you like me to have him escorted out instead of watched and hovered over?
I did not wish him watched or hovered over, just checked upon. He is a guest and new, and might be a bit confused having all of us spread out as we were. The only person I left him with was Gina, and I don't know what's going on downstairs, basically. I'm sorry, I'm just a bit of a paranoid person.
Yeah, it's a good thing that you no longer need sleep, lest you will be completely and utterly beyond yourself. No need to fret. You are not a cat. This is not a room filled with rocking chairs. Adults will be adults, and we will deal with them as such. Might we partake of one another first and foremost, and we can accompany, and you can shine your magnificent light upon your guests' attention and be the magnificent, magnanimous madam of the house that you are, mistress.
Dia puts a smile on their face and is very much trying to slip into ringmaster persona, but at the same time there is a very small bit of brittleness behind the eyes due to all the things that have happened to them as of late. But they nod and motion to the comfortable chair in the office and shut the door firmly, and so that they won't be interrupted.
As one door closes, the saying is that another opens. As one path is cut off, another opportunity or trajectory appears. That is not the case for the damned. The ride from the Pisketeers to Decibel's castle to the funeral home there at the southernmost tip of Dalton is a short one. And it is amazing how good it feels riding in a pack. Each of the men, women, and kindred present understand in full what they are. They are predators. They are wolves in everything but form. And they are riding, howling through the streets of Dalton to avenge one of their own. No prince, no baron, no pater ever puts a member of the pack, even a distant, disparate member, like a stand-up guy that Rob was, he wasn't pledged or patched in, but he was still one of you all.
And that doesn't go down lightly. They have every intention of kicking the shit out of every guard dog, camera along the way to get to the prince, to put forth the idea that they will avenge Rob for the wrong done to him and his childhood. How fucking dare you? And as reckless and foolish as it is, it feels good to be amongst kindred spirits. It feels good to be amongst your equals and ready individuals to cause harm to those that threaten the pack. There is nothing like it. On the ride over, is there anything that Gina would choose to relay? Whether it be the number of guards that she saw last time she was there, whether it be just how well armed and fortified the place is, or better if they find out at the moment. Okay. Experiencing a small bit of technical difficulties, so we will let Gina ride with the pack on the way to kick up dust and destroy the new crown prince. Welcome back.
I forgot my switch on my mic doesn't work anymore. I have to click it on the computer.
Oh wow, yeah.
Anyway, she will relate what she's seen and this, the fact that he's surrounded by strong people, and then as an attempt to subtly diffuse things, she will ask if they really want to go to war with the whole south end of Chicago over a prospect.
Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your charisma and persuasion? Because on principle, that's exactly very much what they would like to do, to prove that there is a value to every member of the gang groups, to prove that they are not something to be taken lightly, even though they don't have any place within the city or domain as a whole. Do not treat us lightly, do not take us lightly, do not is the message. It's like fucking with the police, but in application towards the gang group.
I was arousing my charisma there because I only have 3 dice, and I kind of need to not die. So,
No, I'm with you on that. And Nobu, if you've taken a peek at that, is there a method by which I may aid?
Not just yet.
Alrighty. Oh, nice.
And
So it's less of a...
Gina actually likes messy criticals, so.
And there, in essence, it is. You would not toss this moment away so lightly. There is value in fealty and camaraderie, and there is a value in being part of a pack, even temporarily. And every foolish battle fought means that these moments are fewer and farther in between. Yes, you all are survivors. Yes, you all destroy when you have to. Yes, you are all more beast than kindred. Yet, there's no reason to toss away what you all are so foolishly. Not really. Plot, plan, move effectively, stalk the target instead of rushing up into the bear's cave, unaware that there are not just one bear there, but 6. And somehow, in that furious, frothing, fang-filled explanation, you reach through to them. And they pull over to the side of the road, one after the other, lining up, facing the surmountable battles that they could potentially be involved in. And that's literally it. You all could be involved in. You all could no longer exist. You could literally be facing the last few moments of your existence as you sit there on Cottage Grove and 157th, looking south towards the domain of Decibel, looking south towards the castle that is in fact an actual castle that merely has the audacity to be a funeral home. There is a real clear-cut wish, and you've seen it before. There's a point when Gangrel begin losing themselves, even more so than usual to the beast. There's a point when there's just a predatory will to exert their dominance over the environment, the last cough of the man inside the kindred. And he looks at you with those eyes that are probably never going to seem human again. Their amber color, even now. His beard and mustache doing a great job of hiding the slightly elongated lip, and that's very muzzle-like beneath that mustache. The fangs that are always distended, very much like a wolf's mouth beneath that mustache. And you realize that what they have been searching for, or more specifically what he has been searching for, is an out before all that is left is the beast. And what better way to go out than in a glorious battle avenging your brethren? But it didn't have to be tonight. You've touched just enough of the portion of his heart that remains that he's not willing to let everyone else die with him. And that's what keeps Gina and this particular pack of wolves from heading into the dragon's den and becoming ash. If not tonight, Gina, we have to do this soon. We have to catch him by surprise, and we have to put him down for our brother and our brother's child. I just need to know that you're in, that you will continue to help us. And if you
the
got
smart
for
way,
crash,
I can handle the crash for sure. But this is the smart way. It's not worth more of us getting killed.
fine. But he's got to get his comeuppance. Lead the way back to your crash pad. We'll lay low for the sun and figure out what we're going to do around this little dirty town until we can actually act.
And she won't do just that. Wherever she's crashing, she can sink into the earth, so she doesn't know what anyone else can do, but
So as you all make your way back away from the heart of Dutchball's domain, speaking of crashing and helping and figuring things out, it is amazing that Faye and Stella have, as far as you know, only been dead less than a week. And so last time, Stella read this idiot Frost his rights. She saw right through him, man. Like, there's no, he didn't, like, he wants to care, but doesn't know how. And then Zach got in the way, and so we tumbled and we rolled, and I think it was Muzan. It might have been Gina who pulled him off and put, you know, yeah, I'm not sure which one it was. It really doesn't matter. I think that it was actually Dia. She's stronger than we gave her credit for.
Like most people ignore her because of her height, and yeah, it's clear that she has muscles, but she has like living muscles, not muscles like Muzan. So I think it might have been Dia, and that's the real reason why I talked to them. That's the reason why I was keeping them busy. And that's the reason why I was trying to get them inebriated off of some of the donors that I know, like her, she definitely does coke and probably a little meth. And I was trying to get them a little high so they wouldn't go in to actually try to tear up the town to get back for whoever Rob was. How do you know Dia and Gina and Muzan, Louis?
Well, tertiarily, really. I'm a acquaintance of Dan. Did some work for him. He done some work for me. And in the process of exchanging labors, I ended up running into your lovely sire and crew.
Yeah. Everyone keeps saying that we're in a bad way. I hopefully it's not the case. Because
Well,
everybody's gonna tell you anyway. Our brother, is one of the hounds in Chicago.
okay.
And go ahead, tell him. And I didn't know this until recently, but my father's Don Castiglione. Our
Oh.
father.
Really?
Yeah.
Small world.
Your father's Don Castiglione too?
No, I find it. I've worked for the Castigliones before. I've done an extensive amount of work for the Castigliones before, and it's
Really?
lovely. Yeah.
Did you work for? I guess, yeah. He'd be my half brother. Or did you work for Hugo?
I've done work for Hugo. That's Hugo Karsjaks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done work for Hugo in the past. Actually, kind of. I've got a situation there, but
he always weirded me out, and he hasn't been around since.
I've kind of gotten that vibe from him as well. But as far as I'm aware, he's doing okay. I guess as best as we can really say these nights. But your father, does he know your current predicament?
Yeah. He told me the secret that my brother was keeping from me, and told me that he was in on that secret because he was the same way. And Dia and the others were paid with favors to keep us safe and hidden from my brother and anybody that may be coming after my father. And then she, to save my life, she killed me. She made me what I am. And because it was able to save me, and I haven't been apart from Stella since before we went through puberty. So I couldn't let that happen to Stella. So
So you did what felt most natural.
yeah. I couldn't go forever knowing that a truck could kill her, a bullet could kill her. She could. It's just dangerous. I get it now why my brother kept this secret from us, and well, I didn't want to do the same thing with her.
Hmm. I mean, hey, I understand. Family's family, after all. Especially being as close as you two obviously are. I mean, I can't imagine that existence without one of your two halves here would feel anything close to existence. I mean, to me, survival, very, very important. I would imagine to most people, survival is very important. So just keep that in mind. You know,
It is.
staying alive to greet tomorrow night is a lot more important than a lot of things.
Holy shit! And she
Hmm?
stands up, looking at the stairs that lead upstairs into the actual sports bar. Coming down is a tall, wide individual that is clearly more muscle than man underneath that tailored suit coat and slacks. His swarthy skin tone belying the menace about him. Would you be so kind as to roll your wits plus contacts for me?
Alrighty. Would Streetwise come into play here?
Wits plus contacts because it would be more of a working relationship that you may have happened along the way.
Alrighty. Fuck my luck tonight. Alright. God damn it. Alright, now I don't know who this guy is.
Are you sure?
I have. If, you know what, if succeeding at a cost is a fucking option, sure, but, I have rolled absolutely 0 successes on 5 dice with willpower, so. You tell me, ST. Do I know him? That is absurd.
No, these things do happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. RN Jesus has got my name in his little black book, and he's scratching underlines on it over and over again.
So, the individual coming down the stairs, you wish you didn't know. The individual coming downstairs, as little as 6 years ago, was Don Castiglione's right-hand enforcer. Not his right-hand man, but his go get this person by any means necessary. As little as 2 years ago, he was on the outs. And the last you heard, Arsenio was Mr. Gabriel's man. Mr. Gabriel is an elusive, old school, old world mafioso, a consigliere, if you have to put your finger on it, because the way you heard it, he's a lawyer who handles things and makes things happen in the city.
Uh-oh.
And the reason why you know he's in the city is because a month and a half ago, Mr. Gabriel put word out to have your legs broken for one of the cons that you were running. And you have since stayed out of the city to let the smoke blow over.
Okay.
Oh my God, Arsenio! And she takes off running, and Faye takes off running. And even as he's hugging them, his eyes are on you.
Well, it was lovely talking to you two girls, but I need to get back and speak with Miss Dia about.
Hey, Clark, where you going? Let me finish saying hello to my close personal friends, and we need to talk. Sorry, girls, I'm here on business. If I knew you guys were here, I would have come seen you sooner. But word is out. I gotta take care of a conversation, and then we can catch up. It shouldn't take
too long. Right, Clocky?
Absolutely.
And on that,
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you all for a lovely episode. And I'll see you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Dun dun dun.
Bro, fuck RNGesus right now. Like, seriously, my roles this episode, what the fuck?
It happens.
I know it
Ridiculous.
happens, but it's